Good morning, students. We come up with the gross anatomy of great saphenous vein. Very important short note. So therefore, in the great saphenous vein, we will discuss the following points: definition. Then we are going to discuss the course. Then we are going to discuss the structures which are accompanying great saphenous vein. So structures accompanying great saphenous vein. And then we are going to discuss the tributaries of great saphenous vein. So very important. And then we are going to discuss the perforating veins. So the perforating veins or perforators of great saphenous vein. And in the end, we are going to discuss the applied anatomy. So therefore, here only I will mark it. The end, it will be the applied anatomy of great saphenous vein. So therefore, we start with definition. Please mark. The great saphenous vein is the longest vein of the human body, and also the great saphenous vein is the preaxial vein of the lower limb. This is the definition. Now the course. In the course, before we start the course, it is mandatory for us to have a line diagram. And this line diagram, you can draw alongside with me the thigh, then the leg, and then the foot. So please draw alongside with me. This is the foot. Then we start with the calf, once again the knee, and the thigh. So this is where we have to draw, and at least at this point, at the knee joint, we need more space. So I will just have some space here at the knee, and we shall draw here the patella. This is an important landmark. Patella is to be shown. So more posterior-medially you have to draw. Now, after drawing this, here we accompany, what we show is the various nails: 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After drawing this entire line of the thigh, leg, and foot, we show above the inguinal ligament, and therefore here we will show here one inguinal ligament, green colored line, which will resemble this inguinal ligament. And of course, we are going to show here the genital. This we show it as the genitals. Now, the entire great saphenous vein we draw in such a way that we show that this vein will start from as dorsal venous arch. This is how we show dorsal venous arch, which is supplemented with the medial marginal vein. This is where we show. Then medial end of dorsal venous arch, you show that it is going in front of tibial malleolus, then it accompanies the medial surface of tibia, medial border of tibia, then it will lie 1 hand breadth behind, posterior to patella, and then across the medial part of the thigh, and then it will pass through saphenous opening and drain directly into femoral vein. So therefore, now here we show this as the femoral vein. This is where the great saphenous vein is draining into the femoral vein. This is where we show. And here we show the saphenous opening. So therefore, we will show the saphenous opening with yellow color. So therefore, this is where we show this as saphenous opening, which lies 3 cm below and lateral to pubic tubercle. So therefore, now this entire great saphenous vein will open into here, femoral vein. I will give color here, and here I will mark this as femoral vein, and here I will mark this as great saphenous vein. Now, definition is over. We go to the course. Please mark carefully. The great saphenous vein will start from dorsum of the foot, as a continuation of medial end of dorsal venous arch. So this is the dorsal venous arch. It will continue as medial end of dorsal venous arch, which is supplemented by medial marginal vein. From here it will pass above 2.5 centimeter in front of tibial malleolus. Then it will cross the medial surface of tibia in the lower 1/3 of the leg. Then it will pass 1 finger breadth behind the medial border of upper end of tibia. Then it will lie posterior-medial to the knee joint. How much distance? 1 hand breadth posterior to patella. Then it will curve around the medial aspect of the thigh. After curving around medial aspect of the thigh, it will pass upwards. It will pass through the saphenous opening, but it will pierce cribriform fascia first, and then it will open into the saphenous opening. So it will pierce cribriform fascia, then it will enter saphenous opening, and then it will directly enter femoral vein. Before it enters femoral vein, it has to pierce the femoral sheath. So therefore, after piercing femoral sheath, it will enter the femoral vein. This entire completes our course of great saphenous vein. Now we come up to structures accompanying great saphenous vein. What are the structures? The structures that are accompanying great saphenous vein are 1, 2, 3. They are the structures accompanying the saphenous vein, and they will be very fast. They are the medial femoral cutaneous nerve in the thigh. Then in the leg it will be accompanied by descending genicular artery, its saphenous branch, and in the ankle joint it will be accompanied by saphenous nerve. So here we complete our structures accompanying the great saphenous vein. We come to tributaries. One of the most important portion, the tributaries. Now in the tributaries, in the same diagram, we take the help of the same diagram, we draw the tributaries. And how do we draw the tributaries? We start from below and we go up. So therefore, the first tributary will be posterior arch vein. This posterior arch vein will drain the blood from posterior medial side of the calf and leg. So therefore, here I draw here the posterior arch vein. This is how we draw the posterior arch vein. And therefore, this posterior arch vein, first I will give some color here and I will complete this, and then I will draw this posterior arch vein. And here we have to write, this will be the posterior arch vein, draining the blood from posterior medial side of the leg. Basically, this posterior arch vein is a network which will be formed because of the medial ankle perforators. So these medial ankle perforators, which I am coming up within a short time, will be joined together in a form of the venous network, which will form posterior arch vein. And this posterior arch vein is draining into the great saphenous vein. So therefore, this is the first tributary, posterior arch vein, draining the blood from posterior medial side of the thigh, and it will include 3 important perforators. They are the medial ankle perforators. Second important tributary will be here, and we name this tributary as the anterior leg vein. So therefore, the name of this tributary will be anterior leg vein, which will drain the blood from the anterolateral aspect of the leg and will directly open into great saphenous vein. Third tributary will be, there are certain small tributaries from the calf which will drain the blood from short saphenous vein. So therefore, certain tributaries from the calf which will drain the blood from the short saphenous vein. So therefore, they are the third tributaries. So therefore, here we will name this as the short tributaries from the calf, which are draining the blood from the small saphenous vein. So tributary number 1, posterior arch vein; tributary number 2, anterior leg vein; tributary number 3, the short tributaries draining from the calf, which will drain the blood from the small saphenous vein. Then tributary number 4 in the thigh, posterior-medial vein of the thigh. And that posterior-medial vein of the thigh, you show it over here. It will drain the blood from posterior-medial aspect of the thigh. And this is also known as the accessory saphenous vein. Sometimes it is known as the accessory saphenous vein when it will communicate with the short saphenous vein or popliteal vein. So therefore, this will be known as the posterior-medial vein of the thigh, and draining the blood from the posterior-medial aspect of the thigh. And it is sometimes known as the accessory saphenous vein in cases when it is connected with short saphenous vein. So therefore, this is the posterior medial vein of the thigh. So tributary number 1, posterior arch vein; tributary number 2, anterior leg vein; tributary number 3, short tributaries which are connecting from the calf muscles and connecting from small saphenous vein; tributary number 4, posterior medial vein; and tributary number 5, anterolateral vein. And this anterolateral vein will be passing across the apex of femoral triangle. Basically, it is draining the blood from the anterior and lateral portion of the thigh, but crossing the apex of femoral triangle. And so therefore, it is going to drain into the great saphenous vein. So therefore, here we name this tributary as the anterolateral vein of the thigh. Anterolateral vein of the thigh. So these are the 5 tributaries: posterior arch vein, then anterolateral vein of the leg, then several tributaries from the calf, then we come across in the thigh to posterior medial vein, also anterolateral vein of the thigh, and then there are 3 more tributaries just before the great saphenous vein will pierce the cribriform fascia. Before it pierces the cribriform fascia, there are 3 more tributaries which are very important, and they are, here we draw likewise, this tributary which will be known as the superficial circumflex iliac vein. Then from here, another tributary which goes above, which will be known as the superficial epigastric. And the third tributary will be superficial external pudendal. These are the 3 tributaries, and therefore these tributaries will be, you also have to mark these 3 tributaries: the superficial circumflex iliac vein. Here we can mark this as the superficial epigastric vein. These 2 veins will drain the blood from the infraumbilical part of the abdominal wall. And the third one here, this is superficial external pudendal vein, draining the blood from the anterior part of the scrotum. These 3 veins are tributaries of great saphenous vein before it enters the cribriform fascia. And the last tributary, this tributary will be just before great saphenous vein enters into femoral vein. And what is the name of that tributary? It will be known as the deep external pudendal vein. That is the last one. So therefore here we draw this tributary as deep external pudendal vein, and therefore here we will mark this tributary as deep external pudendal vein, which will drain the blood from the perineum, anterior part of the perineum. So altogether, these are the tributaries. We start very fast. Number 1, posterior arch vein. Number 2, anterior leg vein. Number 3, short tributaries from the calf, mainly communicating with the small saphenous vein. Number 4, posterior medial vein of the thigh. Number 5, anterolateral vein of the thigh. Number 6, 7, 8. They are the 3 tributaries: 6, 7, 8. Superficial circumflex iliac, superficial epigastric, and superficial external pudendal. And number 9. Now number 9 will be deep external pudendal vein. So altogether, these are the tributaries of the great saphenous vein. After finishing tributaries, we come to the perforating veins, which are very important. These perforating veins are, there are several perforating veins which will communicate superficial veins with the deep veins after they perforate, after they pierce the deep fascia. And these perforating veins are also called perforators. They are provided with various valves. So therefore, these perforating veins you have to mark here, they are also very important, significant feature of great saphenous vein. And here these perforating veins are often asked as MCQs or 1 mark question answer also. Remember this. So perforating veins, very simple. It is basically very simple. By drawing itself, we will remember the perforating veins. The first perforating vein will be across the adductor canal. So I am drawing this across the adductor canal. We show this perforator as the adductor canal perforator, or it is also known as mid-hunter perforator. So it is called adductor canal perforator or mid-hunter perforator. And here I will show it with the orange color. This is how we show. So mid-hunter perforator, or it is also known as adductor canal perforator. Adductor canal perforator, in which the perforating vein will communicate great saphenous vein, superficial vein, great saphenous vein with that of the deep vein, that is femoral vein. So it is called mid-hunter perforator or adductor canal perforator. Number 1. Number 2, below knee perforator. It is present just below the knee, and that below knee perforator, here we will show this below knee perforator, and it will communicate, this below knee perforator will communicate great saphenous vein with that of the posterior tibial vein. Communication of great saphenous vein with that of the posterior tibial vein, and therefore here we will mention this as below knee perforator. So this is the second perforator. First perforator is this is the adductor canal perforator number 1, below knee perforator number 2. This perforator will connect great saphenous vein with that of the femoral vein, and this perforator will connect the great saphenous vein with that of the posterior tibial vein. And now we come to the third perforator. They are called medial ankle perforators. 3. So these 3 perforators, which are known as medial ankle perforators, will be placed in such a way that the upper one, the first medial ankle perforator, will be at the junction between the middle 1/3 and the lower 1/3. So therefore here we show the first perforator. Here that is where we show the first perforator at the junction of middle 1/3 and lower 1/3. Third perforator, lowermost medial ankle perforator, will be lying just below and behind the medial malleolus. So here we will show just below and behind the medial malleolus. So here with a round we will show this as the lowermost medial ankle perforator. And the second perforator, that is between the first and third, that is medial ankle perforator. The middle one, medial ankle perforator, will be lying exactly in the midpoint between these upper and lower medial ankle perforators. So here we show this as the middle one. This is where we show as the middle one. So altogether now we will mark these 3 perforators as, please mark them as medial ankle perforators. These are the 3 medial ankle perforators. First one lying at the junction between middle 1/3 and lower 1/3 of tibia. Last one lying just below and behind the tibial malleolus. And middle one which lies between the first and the third one. These are the 3 medial ankle perforators, and they will communicate the great saphenous vein with the posterior tibial vein. Please mark down. They will communicate the great saphenous vein with posterior tibial vein. And therefore here we will mark this as the third one. So altogether we have discussed how many perforators. First perforator was the mid-hunter perforator or adductor canal perforator. Second perforator is the below knee perforator. Third perforator are the medial ankle perforator, the 3 medial ankle perforators. And the fourth perforators will be, it will be located behind, that is the lateral ankle perforator. Just opposite this medial ankle, lateral ankle perforator. Lateral ankle perforator, which will communicate short saphenous vein with that of the peroneal vein. So these are the perforators of great saphenous vein. And then we come up with applied anatomy. We are having some time. So therefore applied anatomy, we discuss in such a way that here we will write various points of applied anatomy. The first applied anatomy will be with respect to the valves. Now, this is also often asked in MCQ here, if we focus here. So, therefore, 10 to 20 valves are present in great saphenous veins. Many times it has been asked in MCQs. How many valves are accompanied in the great saphenous vein? 10 to 20 valves. Which is the most important valve? Saphenofemoral valve. The saphenofemoral valve is the most important of these. Saphenofemoral valve. It is at the junction of great saphenous vein with the femoral vein. At the junction of great saphenous vein with femoral vein. Saphenofemoral valve. Now, here we have various points of applied anatomy in which we discuss why these valves are important, so that they direct the valves which are present in superficial veins as well as perforating veins. These valves are present at both the places, in superficial veins as well as perforating veins. They ensure that blood is always directed from superficial to deep veins. They will prevent the backflow of the blood from deep vein to superficial vein. In case of incompetency of these valves, supposing these valves which are present in superficial and perforating veins, if they are incompetent, if they are non-functional, what will happen? Blood will be flowing in the reverse direction from deep vein to superficial vein. In those cases, what will happen? There will be, in cases of incompetency of valves, what will happen will be the superficial veins will be dilated and tortuous. So, because they become dilated and tortuous, these superficial veins will be known as varicose veins. This is very important. What are varicose veins? Varicose veins are the great saphenous vein. For example, the great saphenous vein will become dilated, tortuous in cases of incompetency of the valves. Because in cases of incompetency of valves, what will happen? From deep veins, blood is directed into superficial veins, as a result of which the entire superficial vein will have enlarged tortuosity, and because of this tortuosity, dilated appearance, it will become varicose. So it is called varicosity of the great saphenous vein. Now, what are the reasons of this varicosity? Number one, the first and the prime, the most important reason will be incompetency of valves. Second important reason will be intra-abdominal pressure, increased intra-abdominal pressure, and third may be deep vein thrombosis. Now here, incompetency of the valves. Now these incompetency of valves can be either in the superficial veins or in the perforating veins. If it is in the superficial vein, if supposing saphenofemoral valve here, saphenofemoral valve is incompetent, what will happen is that the entire vein below saphenofemoral valve, and which is the entire vein below the saphenofemoral valve, supposing this is the site where there is saphenofemoral valve, just before the great saphenous vein opens into the femoral vein, the entire great saphenous vein will be dilated and tortuous. It will become varicose. In those cases, Trendelenburg operation is performed, in which great saphenous vein is separated from the femoral vein by surgery, and its tributaries are ligated. This is known as Trendelenburg operation. So therefore, Trendelenburg, here I can mark this as Trendelenburg's operation is performed in cases of incompetency of saphenofemoral valve, in which the entire great saphenous vein will become dilated and tortuous. And how this operation is performed, in which the great saphenous vein is totally detached from femoral vein and its tributaries are ligated. Now, if there is incompetency of valves of perforating veins, if there is incompetency of valves of perforating veins, what will happen will be, these perforating veins have to be located. And in order to locate their incompetency of these valves, in which perforators, across which perforators they are located throughout the lower limb, one important test has to be done, which is known as tourniquet test. So therefore, in cases of incompetencies of these valves which are located in perforating veins, tourniquet test has to be done. This is an important point. And the last point in applied anatomy will be, in cases of aortic coronary bypass surgery, in cases of aortic coronary bypass surgery, to improve the ischemia of the heart, what is done is that great saphenous vein will be used as an arterial graft. This is the last point of applied anatomy. Thank you very much.